Hello and welcome. This is Tracy Hitchings. You are listening to another edition of Tracy's Prog World. It's another beautiful day here on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. The birds of paradise plants are looking so beautiful outside of my window here. They're as majestic and as magical as the parrots. And talking of magic, I have a very magical guest here today. I'd like to welcome my guest, and it's Magic Maree. Welcome to the programme.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. It was so beautiful. And it's actually really lovely to be here with you. And when I first met you, it was interesting. It was actually through a photograph that my friend Peter, and you're his partner, and he showed me you, and I went, oh, my goodness, I know this girl. I know her energy. So I guess for me, a lot of my life every day it works around energy. What does it feel like? What does it look like? So,
thank you. And you know, Maree, I always feel that energy with you, and we've come to know each other very well, and I've learned so much more from you. And just to go back to your history a little here, as a child, you wanted to know what the place Atlantis was, even though you had no idea about how you even knew about it. It hadn't even been talked about. You wanted a spaceship to pick you up. You wanted to be able to look into a crystal ball, just like the gypsies, and to see into other worlds. Though being a Catholic, you didn't even think you could really do this. This was in 1974, when you was at the age of 10 years old, being thought of as a strange child, yet over the years, you got answers, and they always seem to be more questions as you got answers, but awakening was happening. You didn't realise then that you were incredibly intuitive and thought that seeing spirit and talking to animals was just your normal. So, as a registered nurse and a midwife, you understood the scientific reason of the medical system, but always had an innate knowing there were alternative ways for health. And through facilitating meditation groups and learning energy modalities, you came across transference healing, which is a high energy frequency. This has helped you tap into your own gifts and talents in order for you to help others raise their own consciousness to remember who they are or who we are as spiritual beings having a human experience. Maree, this has the qualities of a concept album, because I remember my first progressive rock band, Quasar, who would have lapped the story up with no doubt at all and packaged it into a wonderful vinyl album with all the pictures and sold it across the multiverses. It's so poetic, yet it isn't poetry. It is your life, Maree. What can we say? Because this is just, it's amazing. And I've always been amazed by you, actually. So, as a child, when did you become to realise that you were different?
Oh, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, I think I was very blessed because I did grow up in a family where we also had a lot of music. So there was always around the piano, there was a violin going. I did learn piano, violin and all sorts of things. And I think that aspect is so good for me as a child, because what it did was help me to open up my brain so that both sides of my brain were working. And, it's a true gift in itself. So I don't know when I actually first realised that what I was experiencing or how I was experiencing life, how it was so different to others. And I think it wasn't until I was probably about 18 and I had retinal detachments, which are when the eye begins to come apart, and they're actually mystified medically. They said, we don't know why this has happened to you. Wasn't short-sighted. There was no reason. But in my heart of hearts, I knew, because as a teenager, I would go deeply inside myself and I was having beautiful colours coming through. But at the same time, there was quite a lot of traumatic energy in our home and I wasn't coping with it. And so I used to think, I just don't want to see what's going on. And then, of course, I have this experience with my eyes actually becoming detached. And, yes, I've since found out that's also a reflection of other lifetimes that I've experienced where I've been a seer or one of the medicine people, a shamanic person within a tribe, and you have to see and look as to where we can move to get enough food, or where's the best place through a vision to actually take the whole tribe. So it was being able to see way back into the past, but also into the future and staying in the present. So, that was probably when I first realised there was something around me that was not normal.
Well, it was your normal. It is normal, but it's not everybody else's normal as well, isn't it? So yeah, it's how people experience things differently. And you talk about spaceships and crystal balls. And talking of crystal balls, I know you've said to me at one point, you knew of a lady that was pregnant, and it must have been very early stages. There was no bump there, but you knew that there was a baby there. You could see the baby. So can you tell me about that story? Because this is about seeing. This is the crystal ball effect, as I understand it.
That's true. It's well put. Yeah, because back then there was no books about anything. There was no one really talking about this phenomena, and so all I'd ever known as a child was seeing someone look into a crystal ball. I thought, oh, that must be what you need to be able to see the future or to be able to see different places. But then, without knowing it, I innately was doing it all the time, and I actually realised didn't need a crystal ball. So yeah, this particular day I was really, again, I was quite young, maybe 9, 10, 11, and we had a barbecue with our neighbours. We were very close to them. They had 5 kids, we had 6 as usual, big Catholic families. And I was just looking at this lady and I was just going, I can see a baby floating into her tummy, and I could actually see the spirit or the soul essence of this being. And so being a child, I went up to her and I said, oh, are you actually have you got a baby in your tummy? And she looked at me and startled, and then said, no. And probably later, they actually said that they were expecting their 6th child, but she was a little bit older then. And I was just, in my own mind, I was going, I knew that. She was lying. She was telling fibs, not understanding that you'd want to wait to tell people to get through that first 3 months. So, yeah, and to me it was just normal. Yeah, and it was like, So, but I've come to find since then, Tracy, that part of my role as a soul on earth is actually to be like a conduit. So as a midwife, I would help those souls and babies birth onto earth and make their transition easier. And then also when people were leaving their body or transitioning, passing over, I would actually help them as well. And it was fascinating. There was one particular night I've been working in the theatre's recovery room. They were really quiet, and they said, because I did intensive care as well, could you pop over to intensive care? They've got a stabilised patient. They just need you to look after him while he's intubated. And I went, yep, no problem. It was just phenomenal. Within 2 hours of me being there, the family rang through and they said, look, we think it's time. He was probably about 78. They said, we think it's time. We want to turn our dad off the ventilator. And they didn't want to come in and be with him. And I was there, and so that was my role. And it was just done very beautifully and slowly, and I was just praying with him. And it was interesting because there was a nurse next to me, and she was obviously a little bit uncomfortable with death, and she kept asking me questions about things, and I was going, I just want to focus on this beautiful soul here. But I turned around to answer one of her questions, and I felt his soul actually move up through my back and up over my head and on. And I turned around and I knew he'd gone. And I was just, I was so honoured to have been there. And he didn't even want me to see him leave, and that's why his family weren't there. So I wasn't even looking at him as he left. So to me, that was such an honour. And I knew that I would be called wherever I was needed to be that role model, or that person that, used that gift to help others.
So this is like being what we know as one name I know has been a light worker. That's been somebody consciously aware of this vibration, these different vibrational feelings or understandings. It's something that we all have the ability of. Some of us have a bigger, easier knowing. Can you talk about that? Because there are some people out there that may deny this or not believe in it or not be comfortable in it. So, and you brought up as a Catholic as well. That must have been quite interesting. There must have been some struggles there. So, and how do you get to that point where you just make that decision for yourself, but also people around you that find it difficult? Maybe people listening into the show tonight might find that quite extraordinary. You know, I personally don't. I know this is the way that I now live, so I'm far healthier and better for it. So, but could you explain that a little more?
Yes, no, I will actually. And it's a really good point because I think, as children, we don't get a lot of say in the religion we're brought up in or in the belief system. And what I know that works for me in life is asking questions. A lot of people don't ask enough questions. And so I would see things going on and I'd see behaviour that wasn't what a Catholic was meant to be in families or whatever. And I was going, this just feels wrong. And I think the word was hypocritical that I probably going to understand it to be. And I couldn't fathom that. So I've always been grateful for the connection into like the Christ consciousness through Jesus and knowing who Mary was. But it was so, to me, it was so limiting, and it was so it wasn't the true story or the true essence of what that consciousness was.
Right.
And so I think when I was probably, again, early teenager years, we used to have to go to mass every Sunday and did all sorts of different prayers and things. But I remember I used to make sure I was like in the shower or unavailable when they were going to church. So and think, well, we can't find Maree again. So that was it. I just stopped going. I think I made that decision, when I was a young teenager.
So for you, something inside, for you personally, for your journey, for your life, something inside of you felt that even though people in themselves thought they were doing things for the right reasons, for you, you could read beyond that. And really, it wasn't quite the story. It wasn't really quite what it really was.
No, it's spot on. And
so that's your intuitiveness, your knowing. Okay. And that within a Catholic family, that's hard to deal with on certain levels. You hide from it, but at some point you're going to face it, aren't you, as well? You're going to face off with it. Did you have face off with it?
Yes, my mum, she's passed now. She's the most beautiful soul I've ever met, and she was so loved, my mother. She became a Catholic when she married Dad, because back then you sort of had to have the same religion almost in the family. But what she did was she took the messages and all of the wisdom that she got through the Bible and through her prayers. She was intuitive, but that was a very safe way for her to do it, because she'd had an experience when she was young.
Interesting.
She stopped being around any of that. So this was her very safe way to connect into her divine wisdom.
Oh, so she knew, and yet she felt that she couldn't outwardly act upon it as you have in your life.
Yeah, no. I think later on she did. Like she started meditating and doing other things as well. She did some amazing healing modalities and whatever. So she was a very incredible lady. But what happened was when I was, I would have probably been about just before I turned 18, so just before my eyes happened as well, I was having all these crazy things going on. I was living up in the city and studying because we were from the country, and I was getting voices in my head. I was getting people knocking on my head trying to give me messages for other people. I was having all of these incredible insights and visions, and it was quite scary. So Mum happened to be up there, and she said, I know this priest. She said, would you at least come with me and talk with him? But he wouldn't talk to me unless we went into the church where he felt safe, because they're so afraid of these gifts and talents. And, people that are sometimes labelled with a psychiatric illness, I wonder if they're not just extremely intuitive, open channels.
I see that so many times, yeah.
And it's so sad. And I saw it even as a young nurse. I saw young teenagers, males that were going through that transition with hormones and brain change, and they would get labelled. Yeah. And I knew in my heart there was another way for this to be, but that's just where we were all at then. But I know that some tribes do. They absolutely honour it. They think they're blessed when someone goes through this, and they help them to grow and come into their gifts and feel confident no matter how long it takes to then become someone that's like a healer or a shamanic person within. So for me, it was really sad to watch people be labelled as psychiatric when sometimes they really could have been helped another way. When I went to meet this priest in the church with my mum, because I said to her, Mum, I'm seeing other lifetimes, I'm seeing Magdalene, I'm seeing all of these different people there, and I was and so he sat there and he said, well, we don't believe that there's other lifetimes. We believe it comes through the DNA, through genealogy, that your soul doesn't experience these other lifetimes. And I was like, okay. But he was quite afraid of me. It was really interesting, this 17-year-old girl, and he was actually afraid of me. Wow. And I just went, And I went, okay, that's fine. I'll sort this out myself. So I guess that's when my journey really started of asking questions. Well, why do I see all these things? Why am I getting messages?
Yes.
Why am I so open? Why can I feel everyone's pain? Why do I feel sick when someone's sick? So, and then I found that that's actually what they call an empath. So I was very empathic.
Yes.
And
can you describe empath a bit more for people that might not know about empath, please?
Of course. So my understanding of an empath is someone that's extremely sensitive. More often than not, we have a very open feeling vortex, which is around our tummy area. That's where cords and connections come to and from. Also, too, usually very intuitive, and on a soul level, they're healers, or they've got some wish to actually help people or to help the earth. So they actually feel. So for me, I used to feel people. So as a nurse, I could actually feel when they're in pain, or I knew if I'd massaged someone, I would know because my hand would start hurting when a spot was sore. Or I'd hear thoughts. I knew what they were feeling or thinking. And just
to take it down the rabbit hole a little further, for people that are interested in this, because this is as big as it's small, isn't it? It's as simple as it's as complex. It really is very simple if we can just live our divine life or our heartfelt life. But you can go down the rabbit hole as well to try and understand things further or complicate them. And so people might be out there saying, well, why does anyone want to do that? Just as an interest, just as I've played devil's advocate here, because it's interesting to try and understand it when you've perhaps not really delved into it. Why would anybody want to be an empath and take care of the earth? Doesn't the earth take care of herself? And of course, so that would be great just to have a little bit of an explanation there as to why it would be.
Well, it's true. And I feel also for me, or for anyone that maybe is going through this, it's an experience. It's a way of really extremely experiencing life here on earth as a spiritual being in a physical body and a vessel. Wow, what a way to experience emotion. What a way to actually know that your intuition is working. Also, though, now what's happened is because I've raised my consciousness and I've repaired, I had a lot of psyche damage as well from trauma, and I was so sensitive I would schism out of my body because the emotions became overwhelming for me as a child. And that actually leads to some schisms and damage like through the central nervous system and in the psyche. So over the years, I've actually helped to heal that wounding or that damage that was done. Because I would cry every day for probably about 2 or 3 years when I was in my late 30s, early 40s, and I was going, I'm not taking antidepressants. I know that there's something with this. So I just kept working, asking questions about it.
Understand.
Working with energy. And then one day it just stopped. And what I'd realised, I no longer had that impact of being an empath. I had this beautiful intuition. I had this knowing without that physicality being affected, because there's a thing called the rainbow bridge that goes again from our feeling vortex to our solar plexus. And once we actually can heal that or make that so that it's stronger, then that empathic aspect doesn't affect you so much. And that's what I found.
Fantastic. So that was basically part of the journey. It was part of, so again, as you have stated, it's, we're not our body, that's the vehicle. Our soul's having this human experience, right? So it's going to go through these things. Yeah. This is so fascinating. I just love it. It's an endless subject for me. So talking about meditation, I think people are becoming more aware of it now and the importance of it. If you could actually give some information on that.
Sure, yeah. I guess I started, I was doing it naturally, as I said, when I was even a teenager or as a child. I'd lie on the grass looking up into the sky and I would just go into this state of stillness, and I would find myself being drawn into this beautiful black-blue void almost, and I would just go, I feel like this is God, but who made God? Who made this? And so my mind was already going way beyond what, and I was never allowed to go any further then, and now I understand why. However, I have gone beyond that since. And yeah, it was probably, so I was already naturally meditating. People think meditating is you have to do it a certain way, you have to know what you're doing. It's not true at all. It's simply stilling, and it's just being still and allowing, yourself to just focus on something. Because our minds race so much with our busy world, we are out of practice of being still and quiet and calm.
Yeah.
So,
which actually feeds the body, doesn't it? It feeds the body to be well.
So what it does, it actually raises our frequency. So if we're talking about frequency being, it's like an energetic force or flow that comes through into the body, and then the vibration can become more balanced. So, yeah, we come into a state of balance and more grace and more able to hear that little inner voice inside of us, giving us that messages and cues and knowings that makes life go so much smoother and takes us on paths that we probably wouldn't go if we hadn't been able to hear that or feel that. If people, what I do, I literally only do probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, and I'll also run some energy on myself through the transference healing. The frequency is so high and it's just beautiful, so I'll actually run that on myself as well. But
is the transference healing meditation itself, or is it another aspect to it as well?
There's a lot that's involved. Alexis Cartwright is the incredible being that's brought and grounded that frequency into the earth. It hasn't been around since Atlantis times, which was so interesting that I always wanted to know what Atlantis was.
I was going to come to that.
I know, and never had, I don't know where I heard about it. There was no such things talked about really. And it's been through the transference healing that I've actually had a lot more insight into, an understanding of what Atlantis was, what aspect of Earth it was, and how it was related to Lemuria and Mu, and what the vibration was back then and what happened. So I feel for me there's been a lot of lifetimes or experiences around that technology of crystals and vibration, and through the transference healing that became unraveled for me and woke me up and made me understand.
If I could ask you if there's one personal habit or routine that contributes to you or to your success and helps you navigate life to reach higher goals and accomplishments. So I'm sure one of them will be the meditation. Is there anything else that adds to that, or is it really the meditation?
Look, I think it is the meditation, but for me also, I'll do with my walking and my running, connecting into nature for me is so important. So like if I always have an intention for the day, so I'll say, all right, my smart part of me, my divine self, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, just show me today through nature what it is that I could learn from, or what it is that I could get more awareness around who I am and this earth. And I've had the most incredible days when I've done that. One day in particular, I remember I was getting quite concerned for the bees because, as you know, with all of the sprays and poisons and toxins they'd been using with glyphosate and things in it, they were saying bees numbers were becoming very reduced, and they're like the whole crux of our system. And I was quite concerned, and I was living up at Mount Tamborine at the time, and that day I heard this noise. I was out actually painting my balcony, and I heard this noise. It was like that low and I went, I know this noise because as a child we grew up on a farm, and I saw this big beehive, this swarming of bees, and I was just in awe watching them. And as a children we saw it all the time because we had beehives on the farm and it was just normal. Oh, my heart just sang. I was like, oh, it's okay, they're being looked after. And it was beautiful. So it's that sort of thing that my answer actually came from the bees.
Wow.
So
the honeybees, beautiful. That is beautiful. And of course, you're living here on the Gold Coast now. I'm down on the Currumbin end. You're up past Service Paradise, past Southport, and you're in the Labrador end, right near that lovely fish and chip shop. Where we can sit outside, and the Pelicans, where we can sit outside and have a glass of wine. It's beautiful. But actually, you were born in Perth or Aspen. Can you? Esperance, thank you for that. Esperance. Can you talk about that a little bit, what it was like there?
It's really interesting. Even as a child, I used to go, how did I get so lucky to be born in such a beautiful place? There's millions of people on the earth. Even as a small child, I got this. I'm growing up in this tiny, isolated coastal town. It's so pretty. And, and I understood. I had gratitude for that. And we grew up on a farm till I was about 4 and then moved into the town. And, I mean, there was the most beautiful ocean. It was really lovely. It was cold, though, which was not really good for me, so I decided not to live anywhere that cold again. But I grew up with animals. Like, we would have pet kangaroos, we had pet emus, we had dogs, cats, everything. We had everything.
Fantastic.
And I was so blessed. And we grew our own food because that's what you did.
Beautiful.
And I always wondered why. Why did I get picked out of all the people on the earth to grow up in such a beautiful place? Do you know, Tracy, I only got my answer this week.
Come on, I want to know.
I mean, I don't know if you're aware with what's happening with all the children and how they're being treated in such a really poor way by certain people. What happened?
Are you talking about the sex issues?
Slavery.
Sadly, yes.
Families where they're actually then used and abused by elitists. And to me, what I got this week was Maree. They always go for beings that are intuitive, that are sensitive, that are psychic, that have got that love and that connection to spirit within them. I was born with this, and if I'd probably been in an area where children go missing, I would say that I probably would have gone into that. Yeah. So for me, I was
the sensitivity would have, the attraction.
So safe. There was not that going to happen. We were 8 hours from the closest city by car. We were 5 hours to the next town that had more than 10 people in it. And we were the last town before you hit the South Australian border and the Nullarbor. So really protected.
Yes, I understand that. So you're basically saying because of your sensitivity, you might have been perhaps put yourself in a position and it would have been too late before you realise you'd have been there because you're sensitively, easily, very intuitive, but easily and trustingly led because you had love in your heart. And that's your journey here, isn't it? It's to raise the vibration, to raise the love, even through all the, I don't know, I hate to say the word hell on earth, to help raise that vibration. It's a job, isn't it? Well, it's a love. It's actually not a job. What would you define it as, actually?
That's a really good question, Tracy. And love is actually the word I would use because to me, love is the highest vibration of all. Yeah. And once we start healing our heart and opening our heart and going into deeper chambers within our heart, this love to me, it just feels like this pure force. And so when I'm meditating, sometimes I'll just have this force come up through me. And I'm in tears because it's pure love. And I don't need to love something. It's just this inner, deep, conscious love. So for me, that would be probably the word I would use as well.
Yes, So on your journey becoming Magic Maree, and because, I've experienced you, I met you 8-9 years ago. You were the first lady that I met in Australia because I met my husband. He brought me down from Brisbane Airport to the Gold Coast. The first person I met that he knew was you. You're the very first person I met. So the first lady of Australia.
Oh, I'm so blessed.
And, I knew when I met you, I could feel the energy because I tap into these energies too. I don't know that I developed anything quite as early as you had. It's been a different journey for me too. And I felt that I was quite honestly brought into this situation. It was kind of like it felt like a rite of passage because I came in right to the wonderful lair of all of these people, yourselves and all friends that I've become friends with. And I've also gone to that newer level for me and grown quite a lot in myself. So I feel so blessed and privileged to be within that and become part of it and experience the great fun that we have along with that. Also the fact that we have great fun, love opening up a bottle of wine at the end of the day and party and chat and talk and do what everybody else does and play music and bringing us back to music. What's been great music in your life? What's got you through, or what do you avoid, or what do you love? What's been part of your life?
Yeah. Well, as I said, has been a huge part of my life because we all grew up playing instruments. We were Irish family background, so we'd sit around, everyone was standing at the piano, singing, and, my nana's favourite song was Danny Boy. So,
Oh, wonderful.
That real Celtic sort of, touch to it. But I was also blessed because there was like 20 years between my eldest brother and my youngest brother. And so I had and with Dad being a musician, he was a brilliant musician and played in the band, and I didn't really want to go farming, but he should have actually been writing music. He was incredibly talented, played piano, accordion, still plays the organ at 83 or 4 for the local church. So he's very talented. So, so I grew up with his music, so from the 50s, the jazz, the blues, then my brothers from the 60s, so they were into the Beatles, and I remember them going and buying the first single, I Want to Hold Her Hand. I watched them go into the single, Janis Joplin, all of that music.
Yeah, great stuff.
And then what I found myself, as I was sort of travelling, because I did a lot of travelling into other countries, and I really loved to just hear what was happening there at the time for those people that were living there. So I also love, classical music as well. I love it, the vibration of it.
Yeah.
But I do love high frequency music. So if I'm running an energy healing session for someone or running a meditation, I'll always use a high frequency music. So music like what Andrew Forrest puts out, it's beautiful. So I just find whatever feels right, and you can really feel the difference. And people often say when I'm running energy for them, that music, it just took me somewhere else. So it is, isn't it? Isn't music about transporting us and taking us to places?
And I'm sure everybody listening to the show now will say yes to that, because there's some songs I hear and sometimes I think, oh, I don't want to hear that now. It actually doesn't feel quite right, because it was probably at a time when I might be going through something, and it might be a great song, but it's not sitting with me. And there's other songs that take me back and think, oh, that was such fun that time. And so when you're talking about music that can heal, or, you can meditate to, it's normally much more laid back and soft and sweet, and it can be of the heart resonance. So, and I've been to your meditations, and I get so much from them. And I've had transference healing from you. I don't know how much you can specifically talk about that, but I've been lying down, and you just go somewhere. I just went, and all I know is when I got up, something had shifted, and I thought, oh wow, brilliant. So learning to let myself just go.
Yes, doing transference healing is actually, it's so beautiful. But what it's done for me is it's helped me to actually it's like a stepping stone for me. So it's given me the courage, and it's given me the allowance to actually bring through my gifts and talents that I've mastered in other lifetimes. And as that happens, our DNA begins to unravel and unwind and expand. Right. So we are moving into the 22 strands of DNA from the 2. So it's and this is part of the journey, and it's happening so quickly now. And people say, why is there so much chaos on Earth?
Yes.
And to me, it's fantastic, because there's so much high frequency coming through from the great central sun, which is where we're created from. It's coming into the grid lines, which are like energy lines or meridians of the earth, and raising Earth's vibration. So, I mean, you talk about the Schumann resonance, which is the measuring of the actual core of the Earth's vibratory frequency.
Yes.
It's been a ballistic. And the interesting thing was when we did that worldwide meditation, on that day, it was just going through the roof.
Yes.
It was spiking and spiking.
Yeah.
Exactly when that meditation is happening. So this is how powerful we are as conscious beings.
Yes.
We can direct that energy. We can just tap into it. And I just ask, so what do you want me to do with this? And they might say, oh, well, just go into an aspect of the earth and just see if there's anything that needs help with shifting.
You wanted a spaceship to pick you up. Did that ever happen for you? I've always wanted to go to a spaceship. So, I mean, those thoughts and those wonderful feelings of knowing that these things are, they're out there. I believe they're out there. I've got no issue with that. I know some of my fans or friends might be saying, oh, she's nuts. But, quite frankly, I don't mind about.
Well, for me, I mean, even as a child, like I said, I was going, oh, that would be so cool if a spaceship came down and gave me a ride and I got to hang out with them.
Yeah, exactly.
any fear with it at all. And once my vibration frequency began to increase, I always realised that there was a spaceship often around me. I can sense them. Yeah. I've actually got photos of some. But also what I began to realise is that within myself, I have my own way of travelling, my own spaceship, my Merkaba. Yes. So I've been able to lucid dream. When I do some gritting work with crystals and meditations, I've actually seen myself in a spaceship and connecting with that. So for me, I feel that I'm a starseed, as you are, as many of us are. We come from the stars, but so I actually know that I've spent a lot of time in these craft that are very interdimensional, very interplanetary. That's one of my favourite songs, by the
way. Beautiful. And, of course, going back to Atlantis takes us down under the sea, and the beautiful thing, what many of us will have in common, is the dolphins. And you very much are in love with the dolphins as well. You're a dolphin girl too. I can see them in the background. We love them, don't we? Very much. I think everybody loves dolphins. It'd be difficult not to love a dolphin, but we've had experiences. We went to Tangalooma together and we saw the wild dolphins come in. They were being fed, and we've always got dolphins and if not, whales in our lives. So tell me about that for you, what a dolphin means to you and what the whales mean to you.
Well, the whales, I mean, because we lived on the bay down in the Great Australian Bight, we used to have the whales come through every August with their babies, their calves, and I just couldn't wait for them to come up. So we always had them around. So, and then as I grew up, to me, it was quite normal just to have whales coming through and to be connected with dolphins. I've swum with dolphins. I've had dolphins come right up to me when I've just been having a swim, and they'd pop up next to you. And when a friend of ours passed, he was only young. He was transitioned when he was early 30s. We all went down to the beach afterwards, and it was unbelievable. There was probably 8 or 9 dolphins that came up to our group. We were having a swim. They were almost beaching themselves to get to us and to be around us. And I knew that was my message, because I've always thought that the dolphins are the ones that help a soul leave as well. And they were coming through to tell us that our friend was fine and had gone through to the other dimensions. So, I've had some pretty incredible experience with dolphins and whales as well.
Yeah. So. I can understand very, very well the dolphin experience. As I've shared with you before, I rode a wild dolphin in my tiny little village at St. Mawes, and it was a spiritual experience. It was a fun experience at first. I rode on Beaky twice. It was called Beaky or Donald, depending on which side of the coast you were on. And it was an incredible experience. I was 15, and it was just play. It used to come into the harbour, moving the fishing boats around and causing havoc, but it was having fun. And he was just gorgeous and playful. But this one day we were all swimming in the harbour, and in he came, and everyone ran out. And I thought, oh, why are you running out? This is fun. And then I suppose in the very last second, I thought, oh, well, it could be a shark. And then before I knew it, it was right there in front of me, bobbing up, and, eventually offered me its fin. And off I went on this adventure around St. Mawes Harbour in Cornwall in the UK, for this fantastic ride, the biggest ride of my life, I would say. And that connection, it never leaves you. And I rode Beaky once more, a week or so. I can't remember how long later it was. And it was a very different situation. It wasn't a sunny day with the tide high. It was very low tide. It was the end of the day. It was kind of grey and murky. And he was as still as anything. There was no offer of playing. And I was on his back, just there for about, I don't know, half an hour or so, just stroking. And you could see all his war wounds from the life. And I somehow knew it was goodbye. I just knew it. And it had an immense effect on me. It was a very difficult effect, because you had this gladness of the connection, and it really was. And yet this goodbye on that last time. And it left me feeling extremely sad and not knowing how to deal with it. It was but I think that was part of my growth, my connection. And I feel probably it's what's brought us back together. I've been brought here to mix with all you guys and help do what we do out here, besides our daily jobs and what we go about, And that brings me to ask you that final question. What is it that that you do, Maree, now as your job? Because you're not a midwife anymore. I know that you've worked in the medical industry. I know you've worked with my husband. And so you've crisscrossed and done so many things to gain your experience, which is growth, isn't it? And so what are you now doing?
Yeah, thanks. And Tracy, your story is so incredible. And I mean, that dolphin would have actually felt your heart, because you've got the most beautiful heart and your
thank
energy.
you.
and if we look at a dolphin as much as so if we're looking at a dolphin's purpose, sometimes it's because it's frequency. So they actually talk with the frequency, and it's also about inner child wounding that can heal them. So dolphins will help carry that vibration.
And you say that actually, and I can feel that straight away, because it obviously opened up as well. But it took the time it took to heal on and off over the years, because there was a lot. But the connection remained, because I never forget when the first time I did the walking on fire, the question you're asked, you have to do a little bit of preparation before you walk fire. So the question that I was asked is, well, what is your, I can't remember the way it was put, but what is your spiritual animal? And straight away there was Beaky right up in my face. I thought, oh, it's a dolphin. And that was years and years later. It just came out like that. So it had always been there. So that's why I'm understanding when you're talking about the things you talk about. So thank you for bringing that thought back up again, because it's great. And I can see in your background the beautiful dolphins there. That's making me feel like, that's gorgeous, darling. It really is.
Dolphins are all about communication as well. And look at how you communicate with the world through your voice, through your gift of singing, and now through your beautiful podcasts. So
yes,
But so what I do, I have a day job, and what I've realised is that I work with a medical company and go in and do education with staff in all areas of the hospital. So what I do every day is have an intention of, today I just take my love with me, I take my light with me, wherever it needs to go, I allow it to flow. And so I always go in with that intention. And I know I'm enough, just me being on this earth. I'm obviously here as part of a bigger plan. And so I'm holding an energetic point, whatever you want to call it. So to me, it's like, okay, keep myself amused, go out and talk with people. That's what I love doing. And also, but then I also have my people that come to me, clients as well, to run the energy. And like this morning I went tree planting. They had a tree planting down at the Spit, and it was just beautiful. I love doing that sort of thing with nature. So scuba diving, anything to do with nature, and it's great. So I balance it out.
Well, I absolutely loved going snorkeling with you on Tangalooma, going back to the dolphins again. That was great. Obviously, you've had a lot of experience with that, and scuba diving. You've been doing that for years, haven't you? On and off. So you like the two worlds very well, don't you?
It's like an escapism. It's like a form of meditation when I'm scuba diving. And I'm always the one that's got the most air left in my tanks, because I've actually just takes me into this beautiful place of just relaxation and
so wonder. You can serve the amount of air. So that's amazing. And it was so beautiful when we was off Tangalooma, because we were off the wrecks, weren't we? And I think a Gudgeon came in at some point. What was it?
Dugong.
Didn't remember the name very well, did I? But that was beautiful, because they're rarely seen, aren't they? They're kind of big, like small dolphins or something like that. And that was a beautiful night. But the colour of the fish on the shipwrecks where the wrecks were, and the beautiful island we were on, just truly, that was beautiful. So I look forward to more of that. And I know we're thinking about going swimming with the whales this time, with the big, huge humpback whales. So that's something we're looking forward to doing. Well, Maree, I would like to thank you so much for coming on to Tracy's Prog World and sharing your magic and weaving your magic through your fantastic stories and what you do and how you help people. And I hope this has also lifted people out there listening to today. I'm sure it will have. How can it not? So I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us here. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, Tracy, this has just been delightful. And I love how you ask the questions and you tell your stories, because you're a really fascinating little human being as well. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Maree. So thank you. That was Magical Maree, and wasn't that just magical? She picked up that name as a young child because those around her noticed that she had those special gifts, even if they didn't know what they were or what it may mean. So wherever you are over the world at the moment, whether you're in your PJs with your cocoa in the nighttime, or if it's morning, you're grinding coffee with that gorgeous smell, or it's the afternoon and you're walking in the sun, or if it's raining and you're snuggling up by the fire, wherever you are, you have been listening to Tracy's Prog World. And until the next episode, stay safe and well. Goodbye for now.
Smile, everybody. Turn around, you two. You gorgeous people. Turn around with me. Mr. Pilot. Yeah. Say cheese, Georgia. Cheese. Mr. Pilot, what's your name again?
Michael is my name.
Michael. Come fly with me. Come fly with me again.
You want to go?